goodness, I'm live. Oh my gosh, my apologies. I have been scrambling and working on this all morning. Hi, I'm Melissa Stevens. You are joining me on The Edge on my new YouTube channel, The Encaustic Edge. Again, my apologies for making you wait so long. I hope that a few more of us will be joining in here today. But at any rate, let's get to it. Oh my God, I'm not touching anything on my screen. Every time I move an inch, something happens. It's been a crazy morning. At any rate, again, I'm Melissa Stevens. You're joining me on The Edge on my new encaustic channel, The Encaustic Edge. I'll be live streaming from now on once a month on The Edge and helping you kind of guiding you through your encaustic journey. And we'll be talking about different tools and techniques and media you can use with the encaustic medium. But today our show is called The Heat is On, and we're going to be talking about all of the devices that go along with the encaustic medium. I've got a couple set out here, but I'm going to kind of walk you through these different tools. There are a lot of them, so I'm going to move rather quickly, and there won't be quite as many demonstrations today as there just will be more kind of a walk through. If you're thinking of setting up your own studio, or if you're just getting started with the encaustic medium and just are curious about the tools that you use, we're going to be talking about fusing tools. We're also talking about tools that you use to heat your paint and other tools that you can use for special effects when you're painting with your encaustic medium. So the first one that I have is right out here, and this is an R&F hot palette or heated palette, and they come in different sizes. The R&F brand comes in, this is the 16 by 16, which comes with this additional, I don't have a brush here, but it's to lay the handle of your paintbrush so it can stay hot on the plate. So this is one of the features. It also has adjustable legs so you can move it up and down. But what happens is this heating unit that has the dial on the side here for controlling your temperature, this goes underneath the plate. This slides right underneath, and then you plug it in using the plug. So the heated palette, the R&F brands run, sometimes you can find them on sale for $150 or something like that. That's very rare. Normally it'd be something that would be used or that someone's selling on Craigslist or something like that. I have not found many opportunities to buy them used. New, they run, if it's a sale, maybe $300 to $500. But the really magical thing about this palette is that when you are melting your paint on this palette, you are getting true color. The aluminum plate is anodized, and that's to kind of help protect and maintain the colors of your paint as you're blending them on the surface area. The other thing that I use for heating paint is, let me pick it up here. Let me bring it from back here. And you see me use this in my demo that I did earlier. This is just a regular pancake griddle, and you can buy a pancake griddle for, $20 to $40 depending on the sale and where you're buying it. I've found them at Big Lots for around $15 to $20. I recently bought one of these. I think it was this one. No, a different one. At any rate, sometimes you can buy them on sale at Target for about $20. At any rate, you can see all of my paints here on the surface area. The really important thing when you're using a heating palette is that you have to have a surface area temperature gauge to make sure that you are maintaining no higher of a temperature than 200 degrees. So let's jump back to the RNF for a minute. So the 12 by 12 inch RNF pallet is pre-built, and so it's already put together, so there's no adjustable legs and there's no brush holder. So I've taken you through the RNF, I've taken you through the pancake griddle. There is an option for you to build your own heat pallet. I don't have a sample of that because I've never done it, but what I would recommend is that you do your research. There's a lot of really, really good websites out there that will walk you through building your own. And the price point on that, from what I've looked at, is anywhere from $80 to $100. So you can really save yourself some money on the front end, but it may not be quite as durable. I don't know. And also that whole true color thing, I don't know how much you want to put into that or not, but that may not be something that you can achieve by building your own. But knock yourself out. I'm just going to put this down here for a minute and clear off my spot so we can continue talking about heating elements. Again, I'm Melissa Stevens, and you're joining me today on The Edge, and we're talking about all the heating tools that are used with the encaustic medium. We're starting a little bit late today. My apologies. I was having some major technical difficulties with my computer talking to YouTube, but I think we're all good now. Now I wanted to kind of walk you through some of the burning tools, but I did want to let you know that chat is on, so if you have any questions or comments as we go along, to please go ahead and pop them in, and I will stop and I will answer whatever I can for you. Suzanne is saying your paint colors are so beautiful. Thank you. I love to have an array of colors. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through some of the burning tools. So burning tools are used in the encaustic medium in a number of different ways. One such tool it's called a burning stylus, which I don't own, but it is very similar to a wood burning tool. It looks a lot like this, and they have tips on them. And here, I can bring it over here so you can see it a little bigger. And so mine is actually a wood burning tool, but a stylus looks a lot like it. The stylus has 3 different temperature heat limits, I guess, for doing different operations on your encaustic medium. The stylus runs about $70, and it comes with 3 tips. So the tips, like this one has a circle tip. You can also get alphabet tips. And I have a whole box of different tips. Sorry, it's really cold in here, so I'm kind of shivering. So there's like hearts. Can you see that? This one is a leaf. Oops. Can you see that? There you go. A leaf. You can get calligraphy tips, calligraphy pen tips. Bigger circles, all sorts of different shapes, and irons. These are different ironing tools, and they all do different things on the encaustic medium. Here's another iron, and you can see they all have this little screw on the top, and that just is inserted into the top of the pen, or the stylus, excuse me, using my terminology. So there you can see it just screws in there. This is the heated element that warms up and then in turn heats the tip. So I'm going to walk you through the wood burning tip that I have. So basically, because the wood burning tip tool is used for burning wood, that would be burning through the encaustic medium much too quickly. And so, there we go. So what you do is you buy I had it earlier. You go to Home Depot or Ace Hardware or any of those, you will buy a lamp dimmer switch to attach to your wood burning tool so that you can control. This is kind of like the 3 switches that you get on the encaustic stylus. So by buying the lamp dimmer, you allow your wood burning tool to be used on top of your encaustic medium. So if I were going to do that, then I could use it to have different effects on the wax itself. Now, if you wanted to use the wood burner like a wood burner, you would plug it directly into the wall, and you could use it to make different designs on your wood before you started painting. This one's not working very well, but you're kind of getting the idea. I did one earlier here. So you just have to hold it on there till it burns the wood and makes a mark. So you can make marks on your board with the wood burning tool. And give me 1 minute and I will show you the example of the encaustic with, here we go. So if I were using the dimmer switch, I could potentially do something like this by putting a paper towel on top here and extracting the wax off of my surface area where I'm painting. So if you reference my first video on the encaustic edge channel, I kind of walk you through this a little bit more because I'm talking about the paint in that one. So Suzanne is asking me, when would I use the burning tool rather than the stamps that I use? So the burning tool, I'm not quite understanding your question. The burning tool is the stamp. So I can't use the burning tool. The burning tool doesn't have any flame or anything like that. It's just the heated element and the tip. So I need both in order to, sorry, I need to look at you. I need both the heating tool and the tip in order to do anything, whether I'm working on the encaustic paint or on the board. So the tips can be switched out using a needle nose pliers to take it off while it's hot, or I could potentially unplug it. Right now, it's plugged directly into the wall, so I wouldn't want to use this directly on my encaustic painting because I would end up with a big mess. But what I could potentially do, and I don't want to burn the paint, I could potentially very quickly roll it through. You can see it melts immediately, but I'm getting smoke and I don't want that. Burning encaustic paint is not a good idea. So I would only use this when it was plugged into the dimmer switch so that I could control the amount of heat. And on my dimmer switch, you can see this one's been used before. Bring it up close. So I have a line on there that tells me where I should put that dimmer in order to do certain things. Some of my dimmer switches have multiple marks that I put on there. So this one has multiple marks depending on what I'm doing. And those marks mean something to me, even though they don't really mean anything to you guys. So, so the dimmer switches are around $15 and the wood burning tips are, or the wood burning kits, there's like a bazillion different kinds. Mine are, sorry, I'm freezing. Walnut Hollow is the brand that I have, and I think all of mine are Walnut Hollow tips or Walnut Hollow burners. And they come in lots of different size kits. I've seen them in kits of like 116 pieces. You may not necessarily use all of those pieces, but some of those larger kits are around, I don't know, $25 to $40. So if you were going to spend, $25 for a kit that had 100 pieces in it, that would mean more tips and more opportunity to try out a lot of different things. The tips can be sold separately, but they are somewhat difficult to find. My collection I've been accumulating over the years. When I see them, I tend to buy them. And I have gone on wild goose chase searches for them, but I don't always yield results. So buying a kit with a bunch of tips might be the way to go. And it's a lot less expensive than going the encaustic stylus direction. But the benefit of the stylus is that it's already heated and ready to go once you plug it in. There's no extra cords or anything like that. So basically the way that the dimmer switch works is that it's on a long cord, but you plug your stylus into its cord and then plug it into the wall. So your stylus is then plugged into the electrical outlet through the dimmer. Okay? So big cords, we're just going to drop these babies down here. And so Suzanne is asking, okay, so the wood stamps that you press into your piece are larger and the wood burning tool gives you the opportunity to work in smaller areas. Yes, so the different tips do different things. So like the iron could work to help smooth out the top surface of, say, an embedded piece of paper, or sometimes people will use the encaustic stylus to paint on a three-dimensional object. I've done birdhouses and things like that, and so if I want to get into like small little nooks and crannies and that sort of thing, I could go in there with the stylus. Some people just paint using the stylus, and that's possible as well. So there's a particular tool that works just like a pencil or not a pencil, but like a pen, where it has a little slit. It's a pointy piece of metal. Let's see if I can find it here. It's a pointy piece of metal that then has a little cut through it. Here we go. So I don't know if you can see do you see the cut in the needle? So the cut allows the paint to be sucked up into it. So I would dip this into a cold block of paint, and it would, because the tip gets hot, the tip would suck up the paint, and then I could write with it just like a pen. And the calligraphy pens work similarly, although I haven't had a lot of success with them because I'm left-handed, and that challenges me a bit. So I hope that answers your question about the stamps. The stylus is the heat source, and the stamps are what we do the art with. Oh, goodness. So the next thing that I wanted to kind of walk you through are torches. And there are lots and lots of different torches, and they do lots of different things. So torches I'm going to start from kind of the hottest and run you through to the lowest burning, and then we're going to go into the hot air gun area. So let me pull these out here. I'm going to lay them on the table so you can see them because they're really big. So these are all propane torches. And you will notice that they have heads on them. These are the heads. They start at the top of the can. So the cylinders are here, and the colors do have meaning, and I'm going to walk you through that. So these are all your propane torches. So the yellow propane torch is the hottest and the fastest. So by fastest, I mean that when I paint with the yellow propane torch, I can move very quickly across my board, and I really have to watch my distance because the yellow propane torch heats to about 3,730 degrees, where that heat is coming out of that tip. The blue and green burn at about the same temperature. They are burning at about 3,600 degrees. So that's a lot of heat. And if you remember from my first video, I walk you through how to fuse the encaustic paint, and I also talk a lot about keeping your paints at a consistent temperature, 200 degrees or below. So why would I fuse at such high degrees of heat? So there's a couple things there. I am not touching the encaustic paint while I'm fusing, and I'm moving very quickly. So I don't want to stick around because I don't want my paint to smoke. I don't want to burn it. But these are the tools of the trade. These are what I use for the most part. But you can use the hot air gun as well. And that's still a pretty high temperature rate. But I think that these tools work best if you were painting it, if you were fusing at 200 degrees. I don't know that the paint would set in the way that it needs to and grab the surface area underneath it. I'll have to check into the science of that. I'm not maybe explaining that very well, but that's kind of my thinking. So we've got I want to make sure that I still keep this at 30 minutes. So I'm going to move on here. I will get back to you on the fusing heat. So I want you to just take a look at the tops of the torches. They all have, there are two different torch heads here. There is this kind, and this is the kind that I like the most because I can turn it on with just one hand. And I'm going to move these because I'm going to turn it on for you, and I don't want to have other propane torches underneath there. So this one is nice. There's a silver button at the top here. That's the lock. And then right here, this is just to turn it on. So what I do is I turn it on here, and then I lock it here, and then I can let go of my on button, and then I can let go of my lock button. And the heat will just be streaming out of here, excuse me. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. I'm not gonna talk while I do it though, because it's very loud. So you can see the heat here. And you can see I can put my hand around it and I'm not burning myself. So in case you missed what I was saying, you could see that I was moving my hand around it and I was not burning, it wasn't on fire, I wasn't in pain. However, if I did put it into the heat source, or if I now touched the tip of my torch, that would burn me. That would be very hot. So we always need to be really, really careful. When you are turning your torch on at your table, you should always be turning it on in the vertical position. And it should always be either on the table or straight ahead of you. You should never turn it on in the horizontal position, because if you have a painting down here and you turn it on, you're going to blow a hole in it. So don't get in the habit of turning your torch on sideways either, because if you are suddenly working beside someone, you're going to burn their arm. So that would not be very friendly. So this is one of the torch heads. As far as expense goes on the propane torches, the torches themselves cost anywhere from $35 to $50 depending on where you're buying them and what color. Maybe you're buying it already with the head. So they do come in kits with both the torch and the head. Or you once you have a couple of heads, then all you need to do is buy the cylinders themselves. When a cylinder is empty, then you can recycle it. These are not refillable. They would be very dangerous if you tried to refill them. So just, I went to Ace Hardware and I'm like, what do I do with this? Do you guys recycle this? And they said, nope, you just, recycle it as usual. Or you can take it to like the specialty recycle places where you like recycle house paint and things like that. They'll take them as well. So that's one of the heads. Another head that I have for the propane torches is this kind, and it's very, very similar to the butane torches. So the butane and the propane torches both have this kind of head. Trying to find my camera. There we go. So this kind of head is nice because you can control how much heat is coming out of your torch. You can turn it up for a higher heat, which is probably maxing out at that 3,600 degrees, or you can kind of back it up and turn it down, which reduces the amount of heat and the strength of the flame. So this is a two-handed process. This is the kind of the switch that I use to turn the gas on, and it turns the heat up. But in order to use the switch, I have to first turn the gas on. So remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And so if you use your ears, you'll hear the propane coming out. It's a very slight sound. And then I just hit, and I don't have a lock key or anything like that. You can tell it's a lot softer. Just by listening to it, you can hear my voice over the flame. So here I'm going to dial back, and you can hear that the flame has gone a lot lower. There's not as much propane coming out of the tank right now. So I can even scale it way, way back. But I wouldn't go too low, because when you're fusing encaustic paint, you're tilting your flame down, and when it gets super low, it starts curling upward toward you. So that's the second tip for the propane torches. Give me 2 seconds. I am going to next walk you through some of my smaller torches, and they are the butane torch, the kitchen torch, and this is a portable soldering torch. And I'm just going to go grab my butane cans so I can show you those. So the butane cans have, sorry, the whole technical difficulties this morning threw me off, so I was not as prepared as I normally am. So this is the max butane that I get at Home Depot, or actually I buy my butane at Ace. It's the one place that I've been really successful. Ace Hardware sells the butane cans for anywhere from $15 to $30, depending on mine are pretty cheap. I think I even get mine for around $5 or $6 sometimes. So I get a lot of these. Since I teach classes, I go through a lot of these. The nice thing about the butane torches is that They are light and easy to handle. They're smaller. And so if you have any kind of carpal tunnel or, shoulder or arm lifting problems, the butane cans are really nice. So I took the top off so you can kind of get a view of the angle of that. The heads of the butane torches are very easy to install. You just, there's a dial that sits at the bottom of the torch head, and there's where the opening is on the can lid there. I would set this down, you'll hear the butane, and then you just give it a little twist to lock it on there so it doesn't come off. So sometimes if a student is holding it at the neck, the head will just pop off a bit, but you can just pop it back on there. So these work in the same way as the blue torch that I was showing you, where you turn the knob and then you turn the heat on. So this controls how much of the butane gas is coming out, and this dial in the front controls the way that the heat escapes. So I would never really be fusing with the flame like this, where it's more open and kind of licking and that sort of thing. It has a lot of bend to it, but again, it doesn't have a lot of strong heat coming out either. I more often will work just like this, and when I teach, we always leave it just like this. So to turn it off, I want to turn it righty-tighty all the way, making sure that no butane is leaking out. When you're storing your cans, it's important to keep the lids on. And I think, I didn't tell you how much. So the propane torches, the butane torches, the amount of heat that's coming out of these runs about 2,610 degrees. So quite a bit less, about 1,000 degrees less than the blue or green cans, and just a little bit more less than the yellow as well. So these are also butane torches, but they do not have an opening on the bottom that allows them to sit on the cans. So how do you fill the butane into the torch is the question, right? So there's another kind of butane can that has a tip like this, kind of a little white nozzle. And to fill a torch like this, you can see the hole in the bottom, and I would just insert this in here. I'm not going to do it because I have to do it in the horizontal position, in the vertical position. This is horizontal. So I insert the tip into the tool, and then I would push down, and I'll do it right now, and you'll be able to hear it coming out. And so you basically push it down until it starts gurgling up. This one's pretty full though. If you get any runoff, the butane evaporates into the air very, very, very quickly. So that is how you fill the tool. And then this is a culinary torch. I bought this also at Ace Hardware. You could buy it at any kitchen store. You could probably buy it online since there's no gas in it. I have tried to buy butane torches, the cans themselves, online. I live in California and they are not allowed to mail them here, so that is not happening. So I have to go to the hardware store for that. So the kitchen torch is a little trickier. I guess they want you to be really, really safe in the kitchen. There's a little lock down here, so I cannot push my on button right now. I have to take the lock down. It's kind of like the little torches that you use to light candles and that sort of thing. So I would have to take the lock down in order to press and turn the gas on. And then there's a lock on the side, and then there's a dial here with a little plus on this side and a minus on this side. And of course that tells me how big or little my torch can get. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so you can see it. And you can see the blue flame coming out of there. And then I'm going to, I can dial it back, and you can hear it more than see it. There, that's on high. And that's on low. So, and then to turn it off, I just hit my gas button again, and it turns off. So this tool runs about $15 to $25, and it heats at about 1400 degrees. So it does get really hot. Some people call it a creme brulee torch, but I would use this one to do any kind of small modifications or detail work. I also do all of my repairs with this or with the portable soldering tool. You can see it comes with its own little stand. The portable soldering tool, this is kind of a tool after my own heart. It is really small, and you fill it in the same way as the kitchen torch. And but this little baby lets out about 2300 degrees of heat, which is still quite a lot. This is the tip, and I believe when you buy it, it comes with two different tips, but because it's for soldering metal, for melting metal, one of the tips you can't really use for the encaustic medium, so this is the tip that you use, and you just screw on the tip. And when I first bought it, there was a flame that came out here, but the flame doesn't come out anymore, but the heat still does. And so this one works kind of similarly to the kitchen torch. There's a lock here, this little button on the top, and I have to push that in order to turn my gas on. And again, I'm listening with my ears to hear the gas coming out so that I know that there's heat coming. And then there's a lock here, and again, I can control how much or how little is coming out of the heat here on this dial on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. You'll hear a kind of a high-pitched ee noise coming out. So I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to hold it up to my microphone so you can hear it. So there is heat coming out of there, even though you can't see it. And then to turn it off, I would just turn my lock off, and then we're done. Let's see, I've got another quick question here. What steps do you take to ensure proper air circulation when using torches? Are there certain sizes or types of studio spaces more conducive, when setting up one studio? So storing your propane torches and probably your butane torches, it is not recommended that you store them in your house, basement, or your garage. Not that they would suddenly combust and explode, but if there was ever a fire in your home, it would definitely explode, and it would definitely increase the temperature of the fire. The little cans themselves are not super dangerous, but it is recommended that the propane torches be stored in some sort of an outdoor storage area, either like a storage bin or a box, a metal box, or something like that to contain them and to keep them safely away from your home. As far as air ventilation, that's really just crucial when you're painting with the encaustic medium. If you're using, I can't speak for if you're using the torches for some other use, but obviously, yes, when you have any kind of fume or smoke, you want to have good air ventilation. Just turning them on in here, I'll probably just, I got a door open in the back, and that's kind of blowing some air through. So we want to make sure to definitely take care of our lungs and take care of our tools as well, and keep it safe for everyone. So just keeping a window or a door open, or if you're inside, You can also open a window, or if you're inside painting with the encaustic medium and you don't have a window, you definitely need to have some sort of a venting system. And that is covered in my first video on my encaustic edge channel as well. So you can get a lot more detail from that video. The last thing that I want to touch on, before I cruise on to that, so there are different heads to the butane torches as well. They all work just like this. This is a generic brand, which I don't necessarily recommend. I bought them because they were cheaper. You can find the generic brand torch heads for probably $12 to $15. My favorite torch head is the Iwatani, and it's a little more expensive, but I've had some problems with these flaring, and mostly it's when I put a new can to it, or if it sits for too long without being used. So the Iwatani, I would definitely recommend that one. It just runs a little bit more expensive, maybe by $10 or $15, but this head works just fine as well. So scooping back, we're going to talk about, we're done with gas items. Now we're talking about heat guns. All right, so there's two different kinds of heat guns. There's the little one and the big one. So these you can find at any kind of crafting store. You could go to Michael's. I'm not a big Michael's fan. I think their stuff is overpriced, and you can definitely find them online on Amazon for a lot cheaper. Dick Blick online, dickblick.com has a lot of really great sales. They would have something like this. Artisan Craftsman, any of your art resources, and Artorama. There's all sorts of Cheap Joe's. There's all sorts of stuff online that you can find. So the little teeny hot air gun works. You just plug it into the wall. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, and the torches, this one probably exudes less heat than this one, where you have I guess this one doesn't have, some of them have like controls in the back. You can tell I don't use my heat gun very often because I don't know. Here, I have one. Yes, here we go. So this one has a temperature gauge on it that you can dial back or forward for more heat. And yeah, so this one says up to 1100 degrees, as low as 250 degrees and as high as 1100 degrees. So based on my research, that works together. That goes to exactly what I found out about it. So the heat gun, the reason I don't use it very often is because it just takes a little bit longer to fuse, and I am an impatient person, I guess, when it comes to that. So this just has a little on and off switch, and it comes with its own stand, and this one has a protective plastic cover so you can't burn yourself on the tip. I mean, if you worked really hard, you could push your finger down in there and burn it, but that would be a choice. So you turn it on just with the button on the side, and then you can hold it over your painting. You see, I have to hold it really close because there's not as much heat coming out. And then I can fuse the paint. You can see that. Anyway. So that is how the small heat gun works. And then the larger heat gun works in the same way, plugging it into the wall with the switch here on the side. And I believe there are two settings. Some of them have, finding my camera. So some of them have a cooling setting as well, that where the tip starts to blow cold air rather than hot air. And that helps to start cool the tip down. because you wouldn't want to touch it to anything. If you don't have an area, a safe area to set it down and kind of prop the tip up, I stole an idea from a person on Instagram where they bought the bicycle beverage holders, and those work really good as kind of they sit right into, the heat gun sits right into them, the nozzle part, kind of like a gunslinger with his holsters. So yeah, here on the side you can see it says high, low, and off. So, but again, some of them do have the cooling switches on them as well. So those all are the heating tools that I wanted to run you through today, and it looks like I did go over time. My apologies for that. Thank you for tuning in to The Edge today, and I'm sorry for being kind of out of it, but technical difficulties always throw me. This is kind of, I'm learning as I go, and I hope that you will continue to join me here on The Edge, and also be looking for my pre-recorded show, which is called The Fab 15 minutes of fun in the encaustic studio. I will be working with new tools, techniques, methods, and materials that I've never worked with before. I am not doing this in the live format. However, I will be doing it in the pre-recorded format. But I will show you my goofs and my successes, and I figure why not? I love learning, and I love stretching for the finish line in any way, shape, or form, and I love to share information. So definitely check me out again. Hit the subscribe button down below. Whoop, 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 down below. I'll learn these cameras eventually. And leave me a comment or a question, and I will be sure to get back with you. So thanks a lot for joining me today. I hope I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.